ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Tuesday, November 4th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is open, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. What a good night for the Thundering Herd last night. The Marshall men get the win on the road to the MAC Sunbelt Challenge against UMass, 78-72. Wyatt Fricks had 16 points to lead the Herd. 14 of those points coming in the second half. Also, the Marshall women got the job done, beat Buffalo yesterday in the women's version of the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. Thundering Herd 1-0, both men and women. So good times ahead for the Thundering Herd. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. We've got soccer to get into tonight. The Marshall Thundering Herd in action. It's the final regular season game, and Marshall's playing host to UCF. The rankings are out now, and Marshall drops to number 17 in the coaches' poll. UCF, I looked at them, and on paper, they're going to be a challenge. They could be ranked. This is a team that has put a nice streak of wins together. In their last 7, they're 5-0-2. But the good news is for Marshall, UCF is 1-3-3 on the road, while the Herd is 7-0-1 at home. So the numbers feel good for me tonight. Of course, the Thundering Herd coming off that loss at WVU on Halloween, 3-0. So Marshall looking for a bounce back. If everything plays out the way I think it's going to play out, it looks like Marshall's probably going to be third, unless some things happen. I think Marshall's going to end up going on the road and needing to win on the road to claim the Sunbelt Tournament Championship. I just don't see any way for the Herd to maybe secure that number 2 spot. I think WVU and Kentucky are locked there. But Marshall could drop. UCF could move up to actually be third in the seeding. So this is an important game. Bobby Iddings is going to have the call tonight on ESPN+. He's going to join us in the next few minutes to talk about that. As I said, we're going to look back at this Marshall win against UMass. Also, we're going to hear from Marshall football coach Tony Gibson, as this week is the 75 game. This is the home game that is closest to November 14th, so it is the 75 game. We'll get Coach Gibson's thoughts on the game later on. This is his first game as the head coach, first 75 game. So what's it mean to him? He's a West Virginian. He's got, I think, a little familiarity with it, not being a person from Huntington or directly being someone involved with Marshall, but he knows enough about it, so obviously he's connected to it as he is an in-state resident. Everybody's got stories. He's hearing them. All the players are hearing them. We'll definitely look ahead to that game throughout the week with some of the players' thoughts on this, as it's definitely new for some of the transfer. And that's the thing. You got to re-educate these kids coming into this every single year. It's not as if you've got this core roster that's just been through it, and then you bring some of the new guys in, you bring them along, and then you repeat. No, with the transfer portal, you lose almost everybody just about on any given year. You got to re-educate. You got to kind of talk about what this means, what's it about, what happened, what's it mean to the community. And if you are anywhere near Marshall, you don't have access to some of the parts of the shoey that I do. But if you're familiar with Marshall, you know the 75 number is obviously on the turf. It's in the building. The helmet, by the way, that came out today. The Marshall helmet, the special one for the 75 game, looks fantastic. Marshall's done a really great job over the last few years putting something together that is not only, I think, exciting. I mean, how do you make something exciting for a game that's in honor of 75 victims of the November 14th plane crash? Well, the helmet looks sharp. It's got that Script M. And, I actually was sitting there thinking, I'm not the biggest Script M fan. I like the block, but it looks good. It looks really good on that helmet. So if you haven't seen the Herd social medias, that helmet looks really sharp. And that'll be part of the uniform on Saturday. Marshall taking on probably its toughest test in conference with JMU. This is an important game. I think this game maybe decides how the Thundering Herd ends the month. I know we have 4 games to go, but I think this football game with JMU is going to really impact what happens the rest of the way for the Thundering Herd. So we've got Coach Gibson's comments to get into. We have got Coach Jackson's comments to get into as well, and we'll do that later on. Bobby Iddings is going to join us. He'll talk about the Marshall match tonight. It is in Huntington, so if you haven't got your ticket yet, you want to head down to the Vet, you've got plenty of time. 7:15 is going to be first kick. That will be also on ESPN+. And, of course, don't forget, we've got you covered. Our text line is now open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we'll get your feedback on what you thought about last night, getting the win over UMass. Also, don't forget the women got the job done. Honestly, I looked at that game early on, and Marshall just came out and went exactly the way I would want it to happen. Just 22-7 first period. That was a plus 15 for the Thundering Herd. Now, it was tight in the second. It was -2. Buffalo outscored them 11-9. Marshall in the third, plus 7, 14-7 there. And then in the fourth, you knew Buffalo would make a run, try to get the lead cut as far as it could possibly do. I didn't think that they had a chance at that point. So they outscore Marshall 14-8. Thundering Herd had 26 points in the paint on the women's side, 16 points off turnovers, 17 second chance points. How about that? That is, honestly, that was a good game. Rebounds, 43-37 in favor of the Thundering Herd. So that was a good effort from Julie Folk's squad for Coach Jackson. We're going to get his thoughts later on. I mean, there are some things that you circle. Turnovers and assists, 26 turnovers, 22 assists, but Marshall wins the game 78-72 on the road. Also, you look at the rebounding battle. Marshall out-rebounded UMass 40-28. That's plus 12. Coach Jackson's going to highlight that a little bit later. Points in the paint, 34-30. But points off turnovers. UMass had 25 points off turnovers, but Marshall had 20 points off of turnovers. And I thought shooting was pretty good. First half, there's some meaningful buckets in that first half. Second half, three-point shot cooled off just a little bit, but for the game, Herd shot 10 of 30. So all of that's coming up. Hopefully we have set it up for you now, but when we continue, first up is Bobby Iddings. He's going to have the call for ESPN Plus of number 17 Marshall versus UCF. That's coming up tonight, 7:15. You'll get your first preview when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
I'm with Chris from Christopher's Eats. Chris, the new brunch menu is perfect. I had the steak and eggs last weekend, and my wife loves the brunch bowls.
Hey, thanks a lot for that feedback. It's been great so far. But listen, you got to try the breakfast nachos and the Monte Cristo next time.
Sounds good to me. Plus the mimosas, the Bloody Marys, they hit the spot, but it's only available on Sundays, right?
That's right. It's Sundays 10:30 a.m. to 3.
Try brunch for yourself with Christopher's Eats. Order it online, christopherseats.com, or stop in Route 60 Huntington.
This November 4th, voters will be asked to approve a levy for the Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities. The agency is asking for additional funding to support residents with developmental disabilities. For more information, visit lawrencedd.org. Paid for by Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities.
Our Kendrick Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Best Deal Equipment, the best deal on farm and industrial
equipment. On-the-spot financing, visit 5000 Ripley Road, Cottageville, West Virginia. Black Sheep Harley-Davidson, where legends are built. Your dream starts at Black Sheep Harley-Davidson, 403 4th Street in Huntington. Online at blacksheephd.com. And Secure Construction Company, roofing, windows, siding, doors, kitchens, and more. Visit secureconstruction.com.
Postseason play is here for Ashland Tomcats football. And the Tomcats have a new radio home, 97.9 The River. Download the app today or listen online at 979theriver.com. The Tomcats are at home this Friday, matching up against Mason County. Cheer on the Tomcats every Friday night on The River. Ashland Tomcats football on 97.9 The River is sponsored by Kentucky Farmers Bank, McLeod's Body Shop, Community Trust Bank, and Putnam Restoration. Ashland Tomcats football from Kindred Communications.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with this edition of Your Drive. Our text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. We're going to get to your text in just a few minutes. We've got a big match coming up tonight in Huntington. Number 17, Marshall, taking on UCF, 7:15. If you can't make it, it's going to be on ESPN+. And to tell us more about the match is the ESPN voice of Marshall men's soccer, Bobby Iddings. I got to come up with a fancier title for you, Bobby. I'm sorry. I'll workshop it.
Hey, the voice is about as good as I can hope for sometimes. I appreciate it, my friend.
I love it. You've got a difficult task tonight. You've got to talk about a game, and you have to start with Marshall lost to WVU 3-0 on Halloween. I mean, that's not the way I wanted to start tonight's show about this matchup against UCF, but we've got to talk about that because it was Halloween, and you know what? There were no treats for the Thundering Herd, just tricks.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that match, and just West Virginia kind of showcased what it's done all year. They're a really, really good attacking team. Marcus Caldera is just an incredible attacker. Dante Huckabee, the Morgantown native, of course, netting a couple goals for that WVU squad. And look, you flush it. You have to flush it at this point now, and you look back at last season. This is a Marshall team that last match of the season last year, scoreless draw against the Mountaineers here in Huntington before going up, and then again a scoreless draw before losing in penalty kicks. So you look at last season, you reflect on last season in terms of what that did for you, and kind of you saw yourself then move throughout the Sun Belt tournament, the NCAA tournament as well, all the way to that College Cup championship match. So I think you kind of pay attention to that. But this is a UCF team that comes in tonight that is very, very hot and is very, very good. And really, you think 2 seasons ago, this is a team that also, it was a controversial ending to that game 2 years ago. This is a UCF side that wants to really kind of get on the right side of things against Marshall.
UCF coming into this, they're 7-5-3, but they're 4-2-2 in league play. As you mentioned, they're hot. Last 7, they're 5-0-2. But the good news, I circled this one. They're 1-3-3 on the road, where the Herd is 7-0-1. I'm sure none of that's going to factor into this one tonight. This is the last game. There's a lot of seeding on the line. You can throw all that noise out.
Well, and you look at the losses for UCF this season. I mean, losers at North Carolina. That's a North Carolina program that is always in the College Cup or in the picture. Losers at Wake Forest early in the season. Lost Three of their four losses, actually, if you look at it, 4 of their 5 losses have come to teams that are all ranked in the top 25. So you play that into effect. This is a team that's faced an extremely, extremely strong schedule. It's not going to slow down tonight with Marshall, who drops to number 17, still in that top 25, 2,200-plus consecutive days for Marshall in that top 25. This is a big test. Again, this is a Marshall team. You want to see Marshall come out and dominate possession, dominate pace. We saw Marshall do that for quite a few games in a row, and they went on the unbeaten streak where they were able to continually net goals against Coastal Carolina, against Oakland, on the road at James Madison, the South Carolina match, the Kentucky match where Marshall really started that winning streak after that loss against Georgia Southern. Now what happens? Second loss of the season. This is not a Marshall program that's used to losing more than 2 games. The last time this program lost more than 2 games was 2018. You think about it, that was Chris Grassie's second season at the helm for Marshall. So it's been a long time since this team has kind of seen, quote-unquote, struggles. And we're calling a 2-loss team struggling. And that's really kind of an insult to what this team has been able to do. But it's going to need to really see a really quality set of play tonight as it goes into the Sun Belt Conference tournament to also improve its seeding potentially in the NCAA tournament. At this point, Marshall's 25th in RPI. You think with all the different automatic bids that are earned, if you don't really push yourself forward, you're right there on the edge just a tad. But if you get a couple wins, you beat a UCF team that is really hot, you get a win in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, that probably guarantees you a berth in the NCAA tournament. But that's not all Marshall's playing for tonight. Marshall's also trying to play for a chance to host in the Sun Belt tournament this evening as well.
It's very jam-packed right now at the top. Kentucky 7-1, 21 points. West Virginia 6-2, 18 points, and Marshall's 5-2-1 with 16 points in the table. Georgia Southern's right behind Marshall at 5-3 with 15 points, and then there's that UCF team 4-2-2 with 14 points. They are in, as is Marshall. UCF has an opportunity to move all the way up to third. That's probably the best finish for them if things go well and go in their direction. So there's a lot on the line here, as you illustrated. I'm just curious, not to go back to this WVU loss too much, but what is the mindset for these guys right now? Can they honestly just forget about that and take it out on UCF? I mean, can this team maybe rebound against, for me at least, is a team that you used to have a rivalry with, and it's kind of shaping up to be a nice rivalry again?
I don't think you have a choice. I think, you talk about what Chris Grassie's been able to do, just kind of turning it over and say, hey, let's go for the next one. And I think that's what this mindset has to be in this match, is you have to look at it and you have to say, hey, so that happened on Friday. It happened, right? It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. You can't let that game beat you twice, because if that game beats you twice, and if UCF wins tonight and Georgia Southern wins tonight, you could fall all the way down to 5th in the Sun Belt Conference, which is not where you want it to be. And then obviously you make yourself a really long road to hoe to potentially win a Sun Belt Conference championship, and then you really put yourself behind the 8 ball. To be quite frank, if you're a Marshall fan tonight, what you're looking for Marshall to win and for West Virginia to lose to South Carolina. If that happens, Marshall can get up into that 2 spot and can be a host in the conference tournament. That's what Marshall fans have become used to these last couple seasons. But to be blunt, Marshall needs to win. Even if Marshall ties tonight, if Georgia Southern wins, they can bump Marshall out of that 3rd spot. So Marshall needs to win to guarantee itself the 3rd spot in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, and I think that should be the only motivation this team needs. You need to be able to be playing your best soccer at the end of the season, and to be blunt, Marshall probably wasn't playing its best soccer at the end of last season either. Went into the postseason with 3 straight draws before it went into that Sun Belt Conference tournament and then made that NCAA tournament run. So Marshall's going to have to find some magic here as this tournament run starts, and it's going to have to start tonight. November is the time for Marshall to start making that run.
Bobby Iddings joins us. He's going to have the call tonight of Marshall and UCF. That is coming up 7:15 on ESPN+. And I think you answered one of my questions. I wrote down earlier the Georgia Southern loss looms large question mark, and it might not, and it might, depending on what happens tonight. And, of course, Georgia Southern definitely in the mix as well. I mean, you look at the top 5 here. Really, Kentucky, West Virginia, Marshall, Georgia Southern, UCF. I mean, there's an argument for all 5 of these teams to make the NCAA tournament. And you look at a team like South Carolina, they're well regarded, but they're 7-8-2 overall and 1-5-2 in league play. But that record maybe not indicative of how good they are.
Correct, and that's a program. That's a program that's been so well thought of. And you saw them come into Huntington a couple weeks ago, and they thought really highly of themselves and just weren't able to put together quality play in that match. So this is a team in South Carolina that takes on West Virginia tonight that they're playing the spoiler role. Now, how much does that matter? You think about a guy like Alex Sterngard, Loic Sonny-Kong, guys that want to be able to impact this Marshall team that played at Marshall last season. What can they do to help out their Marshall brothers now? Well, if they knock off West Virginia, which they still want to do, even though they're in the Gamecock Garnet, they want to see the West Virginia side lose. So if they can do that, if they can knock off this West Virginia side, that really helps Marshall. But Marshall has to take care of what's in front of it. It can guarantee itself the 3 spot with a win tonight. And the thing is, if Marshall guarantees itself a 3 spot, Kentucky wins tonight, West Virginia wins tonight, Marshall wins tonight, Marshall goes to Morgantown, could have a semifinal matchup again with the Mountaineers, and what would be sweeter than for Marshall to get to take on West Virginia again up in Morgantown.
Bobby Iddings, our guest. Marshall, UCF, coming up tonight, 7:15. We know about Chris Grassi, 9th season with the Thundering Herd. He's been tremendous. What do we know about head coach Scott Calabrese?
Yeah, Scott Calabrese has been a really fun coach to talk to for me over the last couple seasons. Got a chance to talk to him during postseason play a couple seasons ago. Got a chance to talk to him a couple different times, and he's always really liked his team. But I think what's impressive about his team is you look up and down their roster. Clarence Awudor transfers over from Oregon State. He is at the top in the country for assists. When the ball's going to be at number 10's feet, you've got to be paying attention because he's got 13 assists on the year, 5 goals. But also they bring in a newcomer this year, Lilian Ricol. He's a guy from France. He's going to be having the ball at his feet, too. Someone that's going to be really dangerous when he gets close to goal. He's got 9 goals on the season, just 37 shots. So he really does a good job of putting the ball on frame and making it count. And really for Scott Calabrese as well, Juan Munoz, who's been there for quite some time, he was hurt for a while last season, which I think kind of derailed the season for this UCF side. Now he's back. He's healthy. He's only allowed 18 goals in 15 contests played this season. So for him, letting goals in is not something that's very common for him. He let 2 into the net last year down in Orlando, let 1 into the net behind him here in Huntington 2 seasons ago. So not something he's used to. But Scott Calabrese, a Bryant grad, Bryant, a team that's in the top 10 this year as well, just continues to be successful now in his 9th season at UCF. So another guy that's been really, really successful. Hasn't done as well versus Marshall until actually early on. He did really well against Marshall. He was 6-0 early on against Marshall. He's lost his last 2. Now he's going to have to see what he can do tonight in front of a crowd that should be pretty fired up. Pretty nice evening as well.
And I'm correct, right? 7-5-1 is the series in favor of UCF. Marshall's won the last 2. I mean, we got to go back a ways here. We have to go all the way back to when both these teams were in Conference USA. It feels like it was yesterday and 20 years ago, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of that's when UCF was the upstart, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but I think starting in the MAC, I think is what UCF did. Then to Conference USA, then to the American, then to the Big 12, and of course the Big 12 not sponsoring soccer, and now we see UCF jumping into the Sun Belt once it got into the Big 12 and all other sports. So yeah, again, this is a UCF team that prior to 2023 had won the last 5 matchups in a row against Marshall, and now losing the last 2. Marshall wants to continue that streak tonight.
See, I've blacked out those MAC days, Bobby, completely. I've absolutely blacked those days out. And you're right about this UCF. I mean, you thought, well, who's UCF? And, they were in the Atlantic Sun. They were in Conference USA. They were in the American. Now they sort of are like Marshall when it comes to just all over the place in conference affiliations. But this is a soccer that was well regarded. Chris Grassi was excited to bring them in. The one thing I love about Chris is he wants all the best teams playing in the Sun Belt. Sure, you think you're the best? Come on over. We want to find out. That's what I love about Chris Grassi and just the way that the soccer league has developed over the last few years.
Yeah, he's not scared to play anybody. He's always said, he's like, the problem we have scheduling now is we can't get teams to come play us. No one wants to come play us. We're not little old Marshall anymore. We're the team that's pretty successful, that's pretty good. No one wants to come play us because he'll stop short of saying they're scared to lose, but they don't want to lose, right? And he'll say that with confidence every time. So, and you get a team like UCF, a team like Georgia Southern that's really on the rise, a team like West Virginia consistently on the schedule. Even look at the rest of Marshall's schedule this season. High Point, who's been in the top 25 for the majority of the season. It's been a really tough schedule that maybe didn't look as tough on paper at the beginning of the season.
Bobby Iddings is with us. He's got the call tonight. Number 17, Marshall, playing host to UCF, 7:15 p.m. on ESPN+. Now, if Marshall can get the 1 or 2 seed, we're going to see more of Bobby, right? That's you're back right at it. That's what I'm hoping, right?
That's the plan, yeah. So the 1 seed is out of the picture. 21 points for Kentucky. Marshall cannot catch Kentucky, but Marshall can catch West Virginia. If the Mountaineers were to lose, tonight, Marshall would win. Marshall would have 19 points on the table, and Kentucky would have 18. West Virginia would have 18. So Marshall would jump into that 2 spot.
Okay, so let's hope that it's the 2 spot for Marshall, then more Bobby Iddings. That means more Bobby on the show, and then we get a Sun Belt Conference championship game here. That's my hope. It's Kentucky loses, Marshall wins out. We get the championship game here. You get to call the you would get to call that one, right? I know
that'd be the plan. Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. I didn't want to get too inside baseball here, but all right, that's the plan. You call the championship, and then the Thundering Herd goes on to the NCAA tournament. I'm sure you need a ring on your finger. Chris Grassi hopefully will oblige you.
That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
It would absolutely be fantastic, and you would have earned it this year. Absolutely.
It is what it is, man. See what happens, and got to start with one tonight.
Bobby Iddings with us, man. I appreciate you doing this again. Always a pleasure to talk to you. You've got a great one to call tonight, and if Herd fans can't make it out, don't worry. Bobby's got you covered, and again, 7:15 p.m. ESPN+. Bobby, let's hope that we're talking to you next week, and we're talking about the Herd playing host to the Conference USA tournament.
Sounds good, Paul. Talk to you then.
Bobby Iddings, everyone. When we continue, we're going to hear from head coach Cornelius Jackson. Marshall with the victory last night over UMass. We'll talk about it when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Transform your outdoors all year long with Roberts Lawn Care and Landscaping. Family owned and operated, serving the tri-state area with expert landscaping services. From vibrant spring gardens to cozy fall patios and everything in between. Roberts specializes in sustainable landscaping that thrives through every season, residential or commercial. Roberts creates personalized solutions to bring your vision to life. Call Roberts today at 304-633-5822 because your dream yard deserves 4 seasons of care.
Cold weather's on its way, and what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests. They sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
This fall, let the Car Ferry bring a little magic to your driveway at Mark Porter Auto Group. With locations in Pomeroy, Jackson, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky. Want to shop 24 hours a day? Cozy up with a cup of cider and browse our full inventory anytime at markporterautogroup.com. Fall into a safe, reliable vehicle and let the Car Ferry guide you to Mark Porter Auto Group in Pomeroy, Jackson, and Ashland. Or shop 24/7 at markporterautogroup.com.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit tremfya.com.
Take Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue on with this Tuesday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 with our text line now open 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Thundering Herd on the road last night, opening up the basketball side of the season with a 78-72 victory against Massachusetts. It was Marshall with the win over UMass in the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. So Marshall 1-0. Also, Thundering Herd has UMass as a victory. I mean, it's not the UMass of old. Let's be serious here for a second. But at the same time, I mean, that's still UMass, and Marshall got a win against UMass. I'm going to take that every single time. Last night, if you weren't with us on our post-game show, and hopefully you can join us the next time, had a chance to catch up with Coach Jackson after the game. And first up, he talked a little bit briefly about the win. Always fun to get a win on the road. And as he points out, it's hard to get a win on the road.
I'm proud of our guys. You know what? They responded in a huge way. So winning is hard. Winning is really difficult. And when you can come on the road and get a win against a quality opponent, against a Final Four head coach, it's special. So really proud of our guys for toughing it out. Obviously at times it wasn't pretty, but we don't get style points for wins. You either get a win or a loss, and I'm happy that we got the win tonight.
That's all that matters, win or a loss here. There's nothing in between. Now, what did Coach see beyond the stat? I mean, we could look at the stats all night. I mean, you had 22 assists, you had 26 turnovers, you were 10 of 30 from the three-point line, you were 14 of 19 from the free throw line, you gave UMass 21 of 36 from the free throw line. You gave them that many opportunities. I mean, what do you see from watching the game that maybe the stats don't tell us?
Well, plus 12 rebound margin for us. These guys, we harped on it all week about how physical and how strong they were. They came out really aggressive, and we stayed the course and battled them on the board. So I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the 39 points from our bench. I'm not proud of the 36 free throws we gave up or the 26 turnovers. But the turnovers, they had a lot to do with that, Paul. They were aggressive. They were denying, especially early in the game. But our guys weathered the storm, and obviously we were able to come out victorious.
One thing that was asked of Coach was just a rebound margin. You look at the rebounds, and as you just pointed out, plus 12 right there. And you go down the list, and you have Wilson Dubinsky with 9 rebounds. He had 12 points, 9 rebounds. He gets one more board, he's got a double-double. I was hoping Matt Van Coleman would pop up with a double-double. He had 8 points in that game. He also had 4 rebounds, but he was also dealing with foul trouble. So you get some good performances on the boards. Dubinsky is one of them. And Coach talked about not just how good he was with the rebound, but how, as a team, very good on the glass against UMass.
Yeah, you know what? I joke with Wilson all the time and call him a 6'1" guard. He's really 6'3". and regardless of how tall he is, you can't measure heart, right, with height. So, you know, he had 9. We had Noah, who plays primarily point guard. He had 5. So again, I'm happy with our guys the way that we responded, man. You know what? It was tough. You know, it was tough because these guys are older. They have several guys 6'8", 6'9", 260, and they were leaning on us a little bit, but we responded, so I couldn't be more proud.
One thing that I thought stood out, which is how Wyatt Fricks responded, especially in the second half. You look at his line, 16 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 1 of 5 from the three-point line, but the free throw line he was 3 of 4. Also came down with 5 rebounds. Of course, he was dealing with foul trouble as well. Had 3 assists, 3 turnovers, but 3 steals, 25 minutes of play. Fricks looked good out there. He was the leading scorer for the Thundering Herd. Just what was it about Fricks in the second half that really started to click?
I think he just came out and played. You know, Wyatt is an experienced player. He's been here 5 years. He's put in the work. You know, he's seen what it takes. I mean, he's had guys before him, the Obinas, the Nates, guys before him. He's seen the work, and he just have to trust his work. You know, what a lot of people probably don't know is Wyatt hadn't practiced. Wyatt didn't play against the D&E. He had a bad ankle sprain with a bone bruise, and he hadn't practiced. Yesterday was the first time really he got into some live stuff. And then for him to come out and perform like he did, especially in the second half, it says a lot about the young man.
And Wyatt was asked about that second half surge as well, and here's what he had to say.
I think it was a big part of just finally getting my legs under me. I mean, obviously I rolled my ankle first exhibition game, so finally being back out there, that was nice. And like I said, just getting that up and down, getting your legs under you, that was the biggest part. So finally feeling it out, getting to feel the game, that helped a big part of it.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me was just the potential of an explosive offense. 78 points, but the Herd at one point, I don't think they could have missed from the three-point line. They were 7 of 19 in that first half, scored a lot of points from the three-point line, 3 of 11 in the second half. But for the game, 10 of 30. But you go back in that first half, they were making some really key shots there. And I think Coach Jackson, while he's happy with the performance, he thinks this offense can be a lot more explosive.
That's the name of the game, right? It's putting the ball in the hole. And, you know, we have several guys who can shoot the basketball from the three-point line, and I want them to be aggressive. You know, I want them to be aggressive. Obviously, you know, late in the game, if we're trying to control the game, that's something different, right? But if teams are being super aggressive and they're pressing and we can kick it up, or Noah, whoever drives baseline, and if you have a shot, take it. Matt, he didn't shoot any threes tonight, but I want Matt, if he's wide open at the top of the key and someone's guarding him at the free throw line, take the 3, Matt. We believe in our guys, especially when it comes to shooting the ball. And I didn't even know that we scored 15 points straight on 3. So that's awesome. You know, we went 10 for 30. What do we shoot? 10 for 30. We're a much better shooting team than that. That's 30%, right? The 30%.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah, 33.3. We're a much better shooting team than that. So hopefully we can keep it going. You know, it's a good win. Anytime you can get a win, it's hard. When you can get a road win, it's special. So proud of these guys. Great team win.
Coach Jackson, his thoughts after the game. One more from Wyatt Fricks. Just asked him about that turnover situation. The Herd, 26 turnovers. Now, usually we circle that number. That was something that Coach Jackson would do. He's like, I look at these 2 numbers. I look at assists and I look at turnovers. And as he alluded to, they were doing some things and playing a really aggressive style of basketball. And I asked Fricks, just what were they doing out there that was leading to all those turnovers?
It was just pressure, and it's really on us being able to take care of the ball. That's something we got to be better at. Kind of look over what do we need to be better at when it comes to handling the ball on the ball screens, or a lot of turnovers most of the time. That's us being careless with the ball, and we got to be better in that aspect.
Good win for the Thundering Herd. Took ownership of it. Lots of positives. Thundering Herd now getting ready for Toledo. We're going to have that game right here, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We've got that crossover with football and basketball on Saturday. So football going to be on 93.7 The Dog. Basketball right here, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Also, we'll have it on our app. If you don't have our streaming app, head over to our website right now, and you can get it for your iPhone or your Android. The link is there. Just go to WRVC.com. We're going to hear from Coach Gibson. 75 game coming up this Saturday. We'll talk to Coach when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Polka Valley Bank. Polka Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Polka Valley Bank locations today. Polka Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Polka Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40%. Help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
This November 4th, voters will be asked to approve a levy for the Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities. The agency is asking for additional funding to support residents with developmental disabilities. For more information, visit lawrencedd.org. Paid for by Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities.
Are you tired of running out of space? Check out Menard Self-Storage Facility. Menard Self-Storage offers the most convenient and secure self-storage in the area. Options include features like 24/7 access, video surveillance, and on-site management. Menards has warehouse units at the best prices in the area, and your first month is free. They're going quickly, so reserve yours now at menardselfstorage.com. Unit and offer details may vary by facility.
Save big money at Menards.
Our Kendrick Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Angel Tax and Bookkeeping, personal and business tax returns, bookkeeping, payroll, and trucking authority. 127 State Street, Proctorville. Call 740-886-6500. Ricer Equipment, your local Kubota dealer in Jackson and Lucasville. Visit ricerequipment.com or find us on Facebook. NWV Medicine, Jackson General Hospital, leading healthcare across Jackson and Mason County.
Step into the magic of the season at Christmas at the Keith. Enjoy festive holiday tours and a Christmas tree auction inside the beautiful historic Keith Albee Performing Arts Center. Tour the decked halls November 14th through the 22nd. See stunning trees, bid on your favorite, and take home some holiday cheer. Learn more at keithalbee.com. Christmas at the Keith is sponsored by our community-minded partner, Kindred Communications.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. AMDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue on with this very, very dark outside Tuesday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. If you're not that familiar with our studios, I've got the window looking outside, and of course, with daylight savings time, it was still bright and sunny outside. Now it's dark already, and it's 5:50. We've got soccer coming up tonight, 7:15 at the pitch at Marshall. So time for the lights to be fired up. Number 17 Marshall UCF coming up tonight. And of course, speaking of lights, I saw over at the Shoey today, it looked like they were doing some work on the lights. So trying to make everything nice and bright at the stadium. I like seeing when I go over there, I like seeing things like that, like always something being worked on, little maintenance projects here and there. So, I'm always optimistic when I see things like that. Let's get your text in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got comments from Marshall football coach Tony Gibson. And let's start with just his general thoughts. We're going into the game. It's the 75 game against JMU. You can basically throw everything out now. It doesn't matter if the Herd won, lost the previous week. It does matter, but you got to throw that out now because this is the 75 game, and here's Coach Gibson getting us set for the week.
First off, obviously, this week, our story is bigger than all of us. So, and our kids understand that. We do some extra things this week, talk about it. And, we have a story like no other, and we need to embrace that as a staff, as a football team, and play for not just us, but this community, families that were lost. And, I know it's going to be emotional on game day, and, looking forward to it on national stage, playing against a really, really good football team.
So what's it like? You're growing up in West Virginia. You're in the football. You're a coach now, and you've been through football over the years in and out of the state of West Virginia, but you're a West Virginia native. So what's this mean growing up in West Virginia to be in this game, and what's it mean for Coach Gibson?
Well, I was born in 72, so it was a little later than that. But, I had some friends that play at Marshall. I had some high school coaches that were in school here at the time. So they always mentioned it. And, just you never hear of that. And then growing up in sports and playing college football and then getting into the coaching profession, and you really start looking like we got a call yesterday from Kevin Sherman at Furman. I had no idea Furman there were 7 players and Coach Tolley were all at Furman. And they do something every year during the 75 week as well. And they're going to be here. Their president, their AD, their head football coach will be here this Saturday. So, it affected so many lives and just a tragedy that, it's, again, a story like no other. And, we are special and we are Marshall because of what they did and what the Young Thundering Herd did to bring it back and all that. So, again, I don't take it lightly. We're going to embrace it. And I told the kids, my expectation is we don't need to be superheroes this week. We just need to be the best we can be the best you, play the best, be the best Eric Meeks, be the best Carlos, be the best Floyd, be the best Boogie, and play a little extra hard and for the 75.
And there's a lot of expectations, maybe not coming inside the shoey, but outside of the shoey. There's a lot of emphasis on this game. I mean, I've talked to a lot of Herd fans over the years, and some of you have said, look, you don't lose this game. You can't lose this game. It's not something that we expect, we demand. You don't lose this game. And I asked Coach, just as a follow-up to that, how do you manage those expectations, knowing that it's not coming from you, but there's a lot of maybe outside pressure coming in to the shoey, they're hearing it from fans, that you can't lose this game. And he stressed again to me and everyone listening that, we're doing some things different here. We're not asking them, we mean that, we're not asking them to be superheroes, but just play a little harder. And he went into a little bit more detail about that.
We're doing some things during the week that are a little different for the guys, but again, the message was, we don't need to be superhuman. Let's just be the best us. And the best us is focusing, making sure we don't blow assignments, making sure we play hard, doing all those things, and just give a little extra effort this week. And I don't want to put that kind of pressure on our football team. Coming off of a loss, obviously playing the best team in the Sun Belt, expectation here is, we need to win this game. But I don't want to go above and beyond that with our kids because I don't want them to try to do things that they don't need to do and take an unnecessary risk or whatever it may be. Let's just play good, sound football and give it our best shot. And, again, just a little extra for the 75.
I agree with that approach. It's a meaningful game. You're honoring the 75 lives that were lost in that tragedy. And you're honoring those that came after. They kind of rebuilt this program, gave it a second life, gave it a chance to become what it is. I mean, you pay honor, you pay homage, you do all of that. That's what this is about. And that's what the fountain ceremony is about. It's a time to grieve. It's a time to heal. I mean, there are places and points in time for everything. But at the end of the day, and I've always felt this way, and I will continue to feel this way until I'm gone. And then maybe this will echo. But the victory is already here. Marshall's playing football on Saturday. The victory has been achieved. It's been won. Marshall's playing on Saturday. Marshall's playing football on Saturday. So the victory has been won. We've got more from Coach Gibson. We're going to get into that with him tomorrow. We'll also hear from you. We'll keep our text line open tomorrow at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in, this is about basketball. Texter says, one word, rebound. You're looking at the rebound numbers. Look at this. Again, it was plus 12, 28 for UMass, 40 for the Thundering Herd. You want to talk about rebounding on the women's side? Let's talk about rebounding on the women's side. 43 for the Marshall women, 37 for Buffalo. Not as big of a margin, but I will take it every single time. So both the men and the women getting victories in the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. So both teams are off to the good, fast start. Let's hope that continues, especially for the men Saturday, going back in the MAC, taking on Toledo. Always a fun time when the Herd takes on the Rockets. I never have a bad time when Marshall plays and beats Toledo. And that's going to do it for this edition. Don't forget, you can get the podcast anytime. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And if you don't get your podcast anywhere, but you want to try this podcast thing out, head on over to our website. We post it there as well, WRVC.com. That's going to do it for this edition. We've got the Coaches Show coming up next. It is going to be a jam-packed hour. You got football, you got basketball, you got basketball. Coach Folks is going to be there. Coach Jackson's going to be there. Coach Gibson's going to be there. All of them are going to be there, and that's coming up next here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone. I will talk to you tomorrow.
WRVC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
It's New Ride November at Hometown Chevrolet in Waverly. Find your perfect ride with incredible savings on new and used Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs, all backed by our certified Chevrolet service that you can trust. Whether you're hitting the road in a brand new Silverado or keeping your current Chevy running strong, Hometown Chevrolet has you covered. Come see us in Waverly or start your deal online at yourhometowncHevy.com. Hometown Chevy, your hometown dealer, your hometown advantage.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Liveman cleaning products make easy work of even the toughest messes. We carry everything to help you keep your home spotless. Get a $10 instant savings on a single qualifying purchase of $30 or more on Liveman products now through November 9th. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm here with Chris from Christopher's Eats. And Chris, it's never too early to start planning holiday parties.
Yeah, absolutely. Big or small, we've got you covered. We'd love to host your holiday gatherings. Reach out now and lock in your date before the calendar fills up.
I've seen your second floor space. It's perfect for friends, family, or even office parties.
And our team can even bring the party to you.
Oh, you can cater it. Christopher's makes it really easy. Call Christopher's Eats today to reserve your holiday party. Route 16 Huntington, online at christopherseats.com.
At Woodlands Retirement Community, you can live life your way, active, engaged, and surrounded by friends who feel like family. Whether it's a fitness class, a concert, or a quiet walk on our scenic campus, every day brings something new to enjoy. And with the security of continuing care available when needed, you'll have peace of mind for life. Call 304-697-1620 or visit woodlandswv.com. Woodlands Retirement Community, where living well never gets old.
Game day is here, and Food Fair has you covered with tailgating and party trays. Whether you're hosting the big game or heading to a party, Food Fair has what you need to make a great day, win or lose. From wings and tenders to fresh fruit, veggie trays, and sandwich platters, there's something for everyone. Call ahead and Food Fair will handle the prep so you can focus on the fun. Food Fair, delightfully local, deliciously fresh, and your tailgating and party headquarters. FoodFairMarkets.com.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com